Hi, welcome to Guts and Glory, the podcast which delves deep into the complex world of gastrointestinal and HPB disorders. Join me every month, wherein we unravel the mysteries of these complex issues in candid conversations with leading experts who share their experiences, tackle contentious topics, and provide cutting edge insights. I'm Sadiq Sikora, and this is Guts and Glory. Welcome to Guts and Glory, the podcast dedicated to decoding the complex GI and HPB issues. My guest today on this podcast is none other than Dr. G.V. Rao. Now, GV, as we fondly call him, I've known him since maybe about 2 decades now, and very closely now since the last decade or so. Uh, GV is presently the director at the renowned AIG group of hospitals in Hyderabad. But more than just being a director and a leading clinician and surgeon, he is a marvelous human being. He is a teacher of teachers. He's been bestowed with the BC Roy National Award to acknowledge that. He is an innovator, which you will hear in this program. He is an entrepreneur by the fact that you know that there is a huge enterprise which they have led. And he's, of course, an able administrator, which I have had an opportunity to see in various forums. Of course, he has been bestowed with numerous awards, BC Roy Award, Pride of Telangana, and many more, which are hard to recount on this. What is interesting to note is that he has his fingers and toes in lot of pies where they do a lot of work, and he contributes tremendously in each of these endeavor. I wonder actually many times that how does he get 30 hours out of the 24-hour day? And as a matter of fact, I always see him in scrubs, which indicates to me that that's his home and his family, the hospital. Welcome, GV, to this podcast. It's a delight and pleasure to have you on this and to talk about your pet topic.
Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you. I feel humbled by this introduction. In fact, I feel that I should be sitting on the other side of the chair and I should be interviewing rather than you trying to interview me or ask me questions because I've been following Sadiq for 3 decades now. And I mean, subject wise, that is surgical gastroenterology is a separate thing that is his passion, but his passion towards patients and academics is something beyond compare. And actually, in fact, to be very frank, actually, I know Sadiq for 3 decades, but I know him closely for 2 decades. Truly, truly humbling to know your own surgical community, whom I hold in high esteems, and you're one of them who have really made some real good contributions to the field. Actually, I think people, next generation, hopefully they'll remember.
Welcome and thanks a lot for all what you said. But it's my show, and I will tell the
I
last
know.
question to you and get all the info from you.
Yeah.
So, GV, you know what fascinates me to begin with is the fact that you and Dr. Nageshwar Reddy have together laid the foundation of a very, you know, tremendous entity called Asian Institute of Gastroenterology, whether I should say akin to a Mayo Clinic in the US. Uh, but walk me through this journey that how did you two get together and how this whole project materialized and developed to what it is today. I'm very keen, and I'm sure most of us are keen to hear that How does this come about?
Thank you, Sadiq. I think, I mean, as history goes, I think we have to have right time, right place, right this thing actually. We have to be there. And maybe I was fortunate enough to be in one of those right time, right places, though accidentally, actually, sheer accident. See, after finished my training in surgical gastroenterology with Professor Angabasham, and after that I spent a short stint in UK. Initially, I wanted to settle down in UK, but somehow I did not like the environment back in UK. So I came back to Hyderabad. There were three corporate hospitals. I tried to get into any one of those corporate hospitals with that basic background, but could not get into any of those things. So then I tried my luck in Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences, which had an opening in general surgery. I went for the interview, and surprisingly, the director that time told me to work in neurosurgery that time for a short period of time before he can think of posting me in general
Oh,
surgery.
really?
I
Interesting.
told him, actually, sir, with due apologies, actually, I'll not be able to work in this. Then I said, then he said there is no vacancy. I mean, there was a vacancy, but anyway, what all. Then I said, excuse myself, and then subsequently, what happened was I got my job in a government hospital. I mean, through the government, and
Mm.
this got my posting in a place, my father's birthplace. My father was very happy about it because, those days they used to think that you have a government job, it's absolutely secured. So
Yeah.
I went and joined there. 2 days later, I resigned the job.
Oh, wow.
My father so upset that he didn't talk to me for 6 months after that.
Okay.
So I came back again. Actually, then I was looking for some place, and then I joined a private cancer hospital here as a full-time surgeon because I wanted to be in the theater somehow. So that was the only place I got. So I told them with the basic pay, then whatever they offered, I joined one of the private cancer hospitals. I mean, small cancer hospital. So
In
I could do
Hyderabad.
my work actually. Yes. So I mean, but again, the part was actually I was free most of the time actually. So basically, I mean, with limited surgical load those days, I used to
Yeah.
assist surgeons, senior surgeons here and there. Then that time I just wanted to see endoscopy basically. It's not that I was interested, but basically I just wanted to spend my time in endoscopy suites. Then I went and approached a couple of my senior gastroenterologists whom I know those times, who were my teachers during my medical school. So
Mhm.
I went and approached them, and then they said they, I mean, I mean, I don't know whether they like the idea or not. Actually, they did not encourage that idea.
Right. Right.
So lastly, actually, Dr. Reddy, I never knew him before. Actually, I never met him before. So he was working in Nizams those days, actually, and he used to work in Medinova Diagnostic Center, a small place actually.
Hmm.
So I went and casually asked him that I wanted to see some endoscopy procedures. He said, absolutely no problem. You can come and watch. So that's how the journey started. So slowly it started. Then by chance, actually, we got this place called we wanted to, accidentally, we got this building in Somajiguda because well, with the help of one of the chief ministers of, I mean, your state, basically.
Yeah.
uh, I don't know whether you know this story or not, actually, but what happened was this chief minister's wife had lab done in Bangalore.
Uh-huh.
I thought you know about this story. So
No.
she had a CBD stone, cholangitis.
Okay.
She was dropping saturations.
Uh,
So he got a desperate call around 6 o'clock in the evening. We thought initially, I mean, we did not take it very seriously, but 9 o'clock again, we got a call. So we went, so night, 12 o'clock, I think we had a small private jet. It flew from Hyderabad to Bangalore.
oh.
We carried all the equipment from here because those days I was doing ERCP and also assisting Dr. Reddy.
Mm.
So both of us flew to Bangalore. So we did the ERCP. It was fortunately it was an impacted stone at the ampulla.
Mm. Came
3,
out.
3 a.m. we did the procedure.
Uh,
You obviously understand 7 a.m. Actually, she was absolutely sitting quite comfortable. You understand? Actually, you had
Yeah.
such patients.
Yeah.
Actually.
I
I
mean,
think
but for the patient, it's a big deal.
it's a big deal. Actually, patient who was absolutely spiking fever and all. Actually, next day morning she was sitting quite comfortably.
Yes.
So the chief minister was very impressed actually, and he wanted us to start a place in Bangalore.
Hmm.
So then we told him about our limitation. Then he told one of his colleagues. Then his colleague had this. He owns this building in Somajiguda. It was a hotel basically he constructed, but it was not occupied.
Okay.
So he told that person, and then we got this building. Then then we had this idea of stopping whatever private practice we had, and we said full time we'll start private. One of the dinners is Nagi said we'll stop this, we'll start full time practice. Take
Mm.
some like-minded people and see how it goes. I said no problem, we'll start. Take the idea. So that day, just overnight, we decided stop the thing, and then we started this hospital. Within 6 months, we got this whole thing renovated, and then we started this center in Somajuda.
That was Medinova, no?
No,
Or
Medinova was initial part
ah,
where we had
okay.
just a small diagnostic center.
Yes.
And we used to admit in another private hospital that time.
Okay.
Then we moved to this Somajiguda hospital, which was our place. Actually, we started 2004. We started that place.
Right. Right. And that's the Asian Institute of.
Yeah, Asian Institute. Then actually, Dr. Manu, Dr. Pradeep, and all of them joined us that time. Actually,
Yes.
so we asked actually all these people actually that time. Actually, then I mean, we're planning to start do this. Actually, is anybody willing to join? And then you understand actually a lot of like-minded people like Pradeep, Manu, and all. No, they were all very keen to
Yes.
start and have
Yes.
something to do.
Yes.
Then we started that place actually, and Touchwood actually it's been going on
So
very.
it's a, I mean, it's a, we all know what the contributions from AIG are and the status it carries now in the academic community and the clinical community. Not only about the clinical practice and, of course, the other academic activities which you run, but what was most impressive uh, to hear and encounter every time that we met you all was some cutting edge innovation which you were doing and thinking about it. Like, for example, I remember when narrowband imaging came, and then you were speaking at many meetings of using it in peritonioscopy, in pancreatic duct evaluation, cholangioscopy, and so on and so forth. So clearly, there was this, move towards innovation. Talk me through some of these innovations which you had in the initial part. And again, what was the thought process? How did it come about? What was the driving force behind that?
This is something very close to me, Sadiq. Actually, I was maybe actually slightly thinking laterally also those days. Actually, the first thing that happened was actually I was working on the doing some surgical work, but though initial part of my practice, I was doing more maybe endoscopy practice.
Ah,
So basically, it was 70% endoscopy, 30% initial part of my practice. Subsequently, the percentage changed completely. But what happened was when I was doing this endoscopy practice, we had a lot of limitations for practice. We are trying to innovate how to see how to improvise things like small stent, which you start making it locally.
hmm,
And these proved very cost effective for us. And one of the reasons for success was when we were able to do procedures at a very throwaway cost compared to the other people, basically
yeah,
because we had a lot of locally designed stents.
right, right.
The first thing that I personally know because I am personally involved in it was the use of this plastic esophageal stents. Now
Okay.
we had this concept of I mean all of us know we used to use this Morse bobbin tube for palliating
Yes,
valve.
yes.
So
Surgically
and
putting that tube.
yes,
Yes,
and then we had this plastic esophageal stent that came from outside. You understand from US. The
yes,
women who started marketing these stents.
correct.
Now, these stents were terribly expensive. It's an endoscopy pushing technique, actually, that terribly expensive.
Yes,
So, first ever time, I had this idea. I don't know where from it I got this idea. Then I just took that. I was putting these Morse bobbin tubes in the cancer hospital. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
All these patients
Yeah.
used to come there. I used to put these Morse
Yes.
bobbin tubes.
Yes.
So I took this Morse bobbin tube, chopped it, took it to the lathe machine, and put some grooves on that,
Mm.
and started using that as a palliation for endoscopic palliation.
Okay.
Surprisingly,
Okay.
it had huge impact, and we distributed it to a lot of endoscopy centers across the country, and a lot of them were very happy with using the stents. I mean, it's a different story now. We don't
Mm.
use stick stents right now.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That was one of the initial things that gave me the thing that actually maybe subconsciously, you're talking something different and you're noticed. So subsequently, I had this opportunity to work with a veterinary surgeon. Actually, we were developing some plastic stents for endoscopy use. So my exposure to the experimental work was, I mean, I was introduced by Dr. Reddy to one of the veterinary surgeons. Then I said, we are using this actually, why not we test it on animals first, and then before we use it, then we had the opportunity to put these stents in pancreas in the monkeys. Actually, when we tested, we got some electron microscopic pictures to show which stent is better. You understand, all this work which I was
Yeah.
talking about in academic meetings had a different impact of my presentations. So,
Absolutely. I mean, they were much ahead of their time, and
yeah,
also, as you said, oftentimes they were indigenously made,
indigenously made,
less
yes, absolutely right.
expensive, and so it had both the components:
Yeah, both the
innovation and cost containment.
yes, right, right.
Yeah.
And the biggest part was actually, so this animal work I got involved. I mean, basically, I was doing some endoscopic work on the animal side, but simultaneously, I got exposure to doing some surgical work on the animal. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that is how I got this into this experimental work, actually.
I know both of you have done tremendous work on stents and various types of stents in various areas. But one phase came when there was a lot of talk on notes, the natural orifice transluminal endoscopic surgery. There was a lot of talk, and it was like a kind of, you know, an anthema to surgeons that what we are doing, what we are talking about. So uh, I want you to talk about again how it started and why it died. So I don't know whether it's natural death or so, but I don't see much activity on that front. So can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah. Sadiq, I mean, I was telling about this stent and also during one of the Indian meetings, actually, one of the organizers of a meeting, actually, whether he literally meant it or not, actually, he or whatever it is, he said, he gave me a topic saying, will endoscopic appendectomy slash cholecystectomy a far-fetched dream?
Hmm. Hmm.
I was slightly apprehensive. I researched the literature. By that time, there was only one experimental work that was done by Parisha on a porcine model.
Okay.
Came actually as an abstract in one of the meetings, actually. So this was the question that was posed to me, and then they said, "This is the talk that you're supposed to give." So I had they gave me about 3 months before the annual meeting. Actually, that was the thing. Actually, in one of the, I think it was one of the ISG meetings, actually.
Hmm.
So then I had to literally sit down and think, actually. And one day, actually, I mean, I used to travel very early morning to the hospital, actually. So one day, early morning, I was coming, actually, the vehicle in front of me was carrying a lot of chickens. You understand, to the slaughter.
Hmm.
And I decided, actually, why can't I just try this, doing this procedure in a chicken model, and just to show the proof of concept that it can be done.
Oh, chicken, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the initial models, what all I showed was all on chicken only, actually, the first proof of concept study.
Mm-hmm.
Same evening, I decided, then those days we didn't have much of these ethical issues and all. You understand those days?
Yeah.
So I went
Animal labs
to,
and
yeah,
working on that. Yeah.
nothing of that sort. So the next day, within next 2 days, I organized the whole thing, and I was surprised that my anesthesia colleague anesthetized the chicken model, and then we
Mm.
were able to do the endoscopy. Did actually all possible procedures. I did actually endoscopic cholecystectomy, liver biopsy, closed it, and the animal, I mean, the bird survived.
Mm.
And the same data, I showed it in the ISG meeting. I said, yes, this is the work, it can be done.
By
And
3 months, just by the challenge of the
surprising.
topic, you did that.
Yeah, was the topic. So, and 2003, after I did this, actually, 3 months later, we had one patient with accidental burns who came to us.
Mm.
Abdominal pain, actually, again, CT wise, it showed appendicitis.
Okay.
So he had extensive abdominal burns and all actually. So we were contemplating actually. Then I asked Dr. Reddy. Then we asked the hospital people. Then we said, okay, we'll talk to the attendants. And then we tried this. The first ever appendectomy was done transgastric in that patient.
Wow.
And fortunately, nothing happened. Actually, patient recovered very well. But as you rightly said, lot of skepticism about the thing actually. And then we had this thing coming out from letters from everywhere. I got invitations from n number of places actually.
To
And
speak on that.
2004 was the time then I was invited for this the biggest meeting in US to talk on this in one of the this thing side halls.
Mm.
The president of the society uh, talk came to me and he wrote me a letter saying that do you want to present this data? But he said you have to be prepared for any unforeseen things that can. I still have that mail with me. Unforeseen things that happened to during the meeting.
Mm.
Those days, see, actually, I was not exposed to this huge audience till that time. I never knew about these US meetings. I
Mhm.
thought it is any other meeting that happens. You understand what I'm saying? You go to the meeting and
Mm.
talk, come back again. What's going to happen? At the most, then somebody might ask you some question. That was my concept.
Mm.
But this president of the society kept on saying, are you sure about it? I said, of course, I'm sure. Actually, I'm going to present my data. There's no problem about it, actually.
Yeah.
Parisat was supposed to chair the session.
Yes.
And you know what happened to Parisat also, actually? When Parisat presented the first lab coli, actually, he had some big issue in the US. And Parisat vowed that he's never going to go back to US those days.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is
yeah,
the initial first
the first laparoscopic cholecystectomy.
trans?
Yeah. So after that, actually, then actually, this is the thing. Actually, I think they again talked to him, and then Perisat came. I think maybe after a long time to US meeting actually, and he was sharing the my session actually. So this thing actually, it was in a side hall. Actually, finally, by the time the main conference brochure came, it shifted to the main hall.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know how it happened. Actually, I didn't even check the whole thing.
Realize that.
The entire concept of this US meeting was totally different. I thought it maybe about 100 people will be there, 200 people will be there. What is there actually? You understand that sort of an issue.
Yes.
One day before, they told me that they're going, and I arrived. I mean, I went to US just one day before. I didn't even go to the venue to see the thing actually. So next day morning, that 9:30 was the presentation. So I went there about 8:30. Perisat was already there.
Mm.
He's, he said, "Good luck, young boy." I said, "Hopefully, we'll have some real fireworks in this meeting." I said, "Oh, it's okay." Then I went to the hall and I surprised that actually it was open in the main hall, which had about 4,000, 5,000 seating capacity.
Is that American Plastic Surgeons meeting or SAGES meeting?
No,
One
it
of
was not. The SAGES meeting is never so big actually. DW meeting.
DDW.
Yeah, they have about 20, 25,000 people. No, those days it was.
Yeah.
9:30, the hall was full. Hall was full. And first time I had some, you understand,
Jitters.
going out to the jitters, going out to the stage. But anyway, I thought actually, see, it's alien land. First time I was doing my presentation in such a big meeting. Alien land. Suppose somebody questions also, I mean, you forget about this, you go back to your country, nothing is going to happen. You understand? What is it actually? How are you bothered about it? You understand? Finally,
Mm.
I decided that, okay, you go presentation. Suppose somebody is going to say something, okay, fine, good. Then you go back to your country, forget about the whole thing.
Mm.
It's not India. You understand what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
it be India, you'll have to be facing this day in and day out.
True.
So surprisingly, that presentation, I mean, maybe one of those my days actually. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you understand those some of those days the presentation goes flawless.
Yes.
Then you understand, whenever we do the presentation, we know that how it is going.
Yes.
5 minutes after my through my presentation, I knew that
You're on a roll.
the audience actually, I knew that I was on the right track.
Yeah.
And I thought I 100% understood that my tone also changed after that. Actually, I still have that recording with me. My tone also changed, and I was super confident by halfway through the presentation.
Hmm.
And that gave us real, I mean, at the end of the thing, we got a standing ovation for that. Actually, you understand? And I was thrilled with this entire show that time that happened, actually.
So you are presenting on notes, is it?
Notes, yes.
Yes.
Pancreatic appendectomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that had a huge thing. I think that set my pedestal onto the international arena. Actually, that's what I personally feel, actually. And
Hmm.
subsequently traveled, I mean, the why it did not take across was actually, it is not that it is not take a good this thing, but basically there was a lot of apprehension. One from the surgeons community were not positive.
Hmm.
Endoscopists were not very aggressive, and we
Right.
didn't have proper instrumentation. But I'll tell you, this is an industry-driven thing that has happened actually. So I got involved into a couple of projects wherein we could devise some equipment that could take this forward. But
Yes.
a section of the industry has purchased this and put it on the shelf.
Hmm.
You understand? Actually, the we made the Cobra scope, the uh,
Yes.
see all those
You've shown us
scopes.
this.
Yes.
Uh,
No, not none of them. They were all purchased by some of the companies. Put them on the shelf. In the sense, in abeyance. That's all. That
it,
kills the
you
project.
mean
You
to
understand what?
say they had vested interest in killing
Yeah,
it?
whatever it is actually. So it is put on the thing actually. So I'm not saying I wasted my time, but lot of us actually. There were times when I was going to US almost every week for 6 months for one of the projects to develop. Actually, we
Hmm.
developed it actually by the time it wanted to come onto the clinical use. That company sold it to somebody else and they put it on the shelf.
Hmm.
And same thing happened to all the other things. So that entire thing did not take the thing actually till the third space endoscopy came in. And now we see the research of the whole thing right now. Now, if you see a lot of Chinese complication, I mean, almost all the gallbladders, appendix, everything they're doing right now, actually.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So if you follow the Chinese now, actually it's becoming super aggressive right now. Actually, I think it is not died down, but it's taken long time for the people to understand the concept and then coming into clinical practice. I
I
think
think with improved instrumentation access,
implementation, yeah, absolutely.
and I think there may be a resurgence of interest in that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to now move on to the new kid on the block, which we now call it artificial intelligence.
Yeah, right.
And it appears that we are going to be slaves to it soon if we don't acquire enough information and knowledge to master it.
Absolutely.
So, GB, just for the audience, for us, tell us A, what again, now it's a kind of change in track towards artificial, what drew you to that? And second, explain to us the concept on which this whole thing works. The what we now call as artificial intelligence, machine learning, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right. Right. Thanks, Sadiq. Actually, see, as a part of this activity, what we've been having in AAG hospitals, actually, so we are trying to develop parallel departments. See, what we noticed was like the clinicians who are working with us now, about 400 of them right now. So each one of them have got some passion to some other subject other than the routine clinical work. And you give them that access to that additional work, and they seem to be working, having more enthusiasm to work in the hospital, or you understand that
Yeah.
give them an extra kick. So we started our basic research. We started other departments. You understand? Likewise, we started actually when we listening to what has been happening in AI actually last decade or so. And we are also surrounded by a lot of IT friends actually who are involved in AI.
Mm,
So we've been talking to them actually, and we knew that actually AI is going to make some dent into medical practice. And consciously, subconsciously, we were all getting into the thing actually. We all knew that actually took us, one of the IIT teams in Hyderabad to find a solution for some X problem. And
mhm,
the price was humongous. Two, they were taking a lot of time. Three, they didn't have any data. So
mm.
the most important thing is these IT companies are looking out for AI is basically data.
Yes.
And AI has been very strong in data acquisition, data storage, because we have a very strong EMR, both for, the patient data, videos, everything. We have a very strong, robust data.
Right.
So we have such huge data, then we thought, why not we have our own this thing actually, instead of trying to depend on somebody else, and we give them our own data. So that's how it started. So we started talking about this AI in different forums actually, and then we started a separate department right now, which has almost got about 38 engineers who are working on it right now.
Hmm.
It is
Yeah.
headed by, yeah, we have a
Interesting.
separate department now. Actually, there's a one CTO, Chief Technology Officer, who
Mm,
is in charge of the thing, and there are about 30, 40 people who are working under him. So
mm.
now, so now what happened was now we have this Asian Healthcare Foundation, which is a trust actually, which we try to opening up for people to do some research work and all. And like we had a brainstorm session with all the clinicians and asked them to come up with some solutions. And then they came up with some ideas. We filtered those and then we asked them which are the ones which can be translated fast. Then we had an internal discussion among them and we awarded about some money for these people. Same thing we do it for the research also. Actually, this is an annual affair for us. Actually, every year we invite within our own hospital, and then we fund them. Actually, so the hospital, the trust funds them partly, and we get some fund from the outside to do this research work by these people. So this artificial intelligence also working on the same lines. Actually, so we started this work.
So,
So basically, the my work started with one of the industry partners with quite some time back. You understand, actually. I mean, I cannot name it on the show, but basically, they were the prototypes used to come to us before, and
mm,
we were involved. Actually, as you rightly said, narrowband imaging was first. It came because endoscopy it came, and the first thing that first equipment narrowband laparoscopy came to us for prototype testing for quite some time. Then we showed them, actually, we worked on it extensively. We told them the limitations for general surgical side. And we told them very clearly that it is only going to be for mucosal side, basically because of the depth of penetration. And
okay.
subsequently, it's a different story now. It's gynecologists use it more actually because they use it for uteroscopy, not much in general surgical side, basically because it doesn't penetrate the serosal side and it doesn't pick up
Yeah.
those lesions.
Right.
Subsequently, they were involved in the other projects also with those people actually. Uh, right now, the new thing was actually one of the color enhancement that they've been doing actually. Actually, I don't know whether I told you,
Yellow color enhancement.
yeah, that is a different. That is different. But now, actually, I am working in a new project called Octopus. Actually, which
Mm,
a
yes.
project wherein the colors change automatically depending on where you're operating. You don't have to change the mode now.
Please
Uh,
explain
the
what
AI,
you.
yeah, the AI changes the color automatically depending on where you're operating.
Mm-hmm.
It enhances the color. I mean, enhances the tubular structures, the vessels, so that
Oh,
I personally feel that it's a combination of all these technologies right now. So
yeah.
right now, what's happening is when we are asking people to change from one mode to the other, there is some amount of they forget it to change the mode. You understand, a
Mm,
lot of things happen, but
yeah.
system spontaneously changes colors, and then so that we can
So,
have.
so what I understand is that basically
Yeah.
it is large data fed in.
Yes,
The machine learns faster,
machine
processes
learn
it
faster.
much better, and
Yes,
is always able to put those things quickly together.
yes, absolutely right.
So that's how it works. So, somewhere I read that garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage out. Absolutely right, actually.
So it all depends on what data you feed, what
Yes,
questions you ask, what algorithm you make. you
Yes,
get the right answer. So,
absolutely, Sadiq. So
yeah.
we have a couple of publications from our side, Sadiq, actually. Absolutely. Artificial intelligence, basically, as you rightly said, what is that you're looking for? What is the data that you can feed in? And what is the app data that you can get out? So we had a couple of like actually for predicting CBD stones, something when we put in some data and then we had this publication which it showed that it is better than the ASG and the ESG guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying, predicting CBD stones in patients.
Yes.
So likewise, we have this picking up colonic polyps. Actually, we have
Yes.
one thing to show, and we have one model to pick up as they're doing this endoscopy procedures, poem procedures. The vessels get enhanced so that they coagulate it before it doesn't land in any troublesome bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the things that were done, and the biggest show that we had. I mean, these are happening in the hospital. The biggest show that we had in artificial intelligence was in the recent endoscopy meeting wherein actually, I mean, again, I was thinking about some new idea that had to work for the meeting to. You understand, there has to be some talking point for the meeting.
Ah,
You do fantastic endoscopy procedures to showcase the technology, but again, you understand, any meeting has got some talking point. So I had this concept of introducing a robo into the thing actually, and I talked to my AI people. Actually, I told him that we should have a AIG bot which should
ah,
to answer some questions at least. Then,
okay.
so I sat down with the thing actually, and we had the two versions of it, a male version and a female version. Initially, I thought we'll just have an audio on the screen, but
Mm,
subsequently, I we sat for hours together. You understand, it is literally working 20 hours a day with these people. I
mm,
got a male model and a female model generated by these people, and then we started integrating the Chat GPT, PubMed, everything actually. And it clicked very well, and we called it Mira, Medical Integrated Robotic System.
okay.
And I don't know whether you've seen this actually. This was a big hit.
Mm,
This Mira started. So we introduced her to read out the case histories of the procedures before.
okay.
Understand the case presentation
Mm,
before the
okay.
case on the thing.
Mm,
Actually, somebody read usually the junior consultants or the registrars used to do it actually.
right.
We made sure that then I said people were apprehensive about it. Then I said, okay, then day one we'll start it actually. If you're happy with it, we'll continue. Otherwise, we'll stop it.
Mm,
Day one, I started. It was a hit. By evening, I said, day two, they asked me. Then I said, okay, we'll do 50% this, 50% that. Actually, some of them, because by the time the registrar, junior consultants were slightly digitally, that they are losing their screen space. You understand? Actually, that is
yes. Yes.
so that is their job. But end of day one, the feedback that I got was that this bot will go live for all the cases. Then
Mm,
we had to sit literally the entire night and then train the thing. And then it was a phenomenal success. You understand? I mean, success in the sense it was became a talking point, one of the talking points in the
in the
meeting.
meeting.
AI started answering actually. And now we put it up in our consultant rooms actually, and then for the patients to ask questions. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
put
they're
it
in
up.
AIG?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we put it up in the screens actually in
so
all
it's
the.
a patient education and patient
Yeah, yeah, actually, it's not
query bot.
absolutely. Actually, in the we started putting up in one specific area right now in a platinum wing, where
Mm,
because actually open we cannot put it because everybody keeps asking actually. So we put it up in the platinum wing where patients have some specified clusters actually. So now they're interacting with them, and people are very happy with the thing actually. We get
so,
actually, I mean, in fact, actually, I have a recording of one of my junior consultants asking, actually, he fed all the data to ask for one of the wall-off necrosis procedure, which is the best procedure to be done. And it very clearly says surgery is the best option. I keep showing that in the.
information fed into
No, no, it's not
it.
tailored, please. It's not tailored.
So, GV, I mean, we know now that
Yes.
it's been there for quite some time. This term was coined in way back in late
Yeah.
50s and 60s of artificial intelligence. And if we look at its major application, from what I understand at this point of time in medicine, is in imaging, is in pathology, is in dermatology, wherein you can make these diagnoses, uh, read images. So just can you elaborate the current applications of AI in medicine, and if you care to take it into the surgical side, that what are the current applications which are available?
I think actually tomorrow I'm doing this talk in one of the pathology meetings actually about the role of AI. Now,
Mhm.
interestingly, when I critically look at this, actually, you can just critically look at it, Sadiq, actually, on the medical side, most of the AI is happening on the diagnostic side.
Yes,
Pathology, microbiology, biochemistry, research, and radiology.
yes,
You understand? Just look critically into the thing, Sadiq. Basically, this happening in this specialties, and the number of publications are more in this basically because there's a lot of inter-observer variability. There's a lot of ambiguity about diagnosis in this thing, actually. Lot of, I mean, some of the work actually, I mean, basically because of the sheer workload in these specialties, people feel that they're
I
not able
mean,
to cope up with the work.
yes,
You understand? Unlike the other
yes,
specialties.
yeah,
So, and also there is some limitation of people, some working on some areas, not able to work on this. You understand?
yeah,
These are the basic things which led to AI into these fields.
right.
Radiology, basically because there's a lot of variability in reporting. They wanted standardization.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
it's, yeah, so likewise in pathology, likewise in biochemistry. You understand? There's a lot of variability. So most of the thing is happening on the diagnostic side, actually. And whatever work is happening on the diagnostic side, we are taking it on the clinical side.
So basically, in these areas, there's you can feed in all the information, and
Yes.
the benefit is it takes away the inter-observer variability. It
Absolutely.
cuts the time in which you do. I mean, I understand there is a study which shows that if 100 X-rays are to be read by an individual, the
Yes.
time taken for AI to read those X-rays is in minutes rather than hours. So I think that's what you are saying, that you,
Absolutely.
you can feed in that data and
And
you can get the results out quickly and more accurately.
yeah, actually, I don't know. You've seen this, Sadiq. Actually, there's a thing called a viboscope right now, which uses autofluorescence right now for on-site biopsy. We just have to take that nodule, put it on the machine. It gives images absolutely similar to the HND stain.
Okay.
Absolutely. On table, it will give you less than 3 minutes. The images are phenomenal. Actually, you understand, actually, we have, I mean, all that time that is lost for frozen sections and all is gone. Actually, we've got one of these scopes, actually. Uh,
Okay.
Phenomenal,
Yes.
actually. It's changing the way in which we practice, actually.
So
Uh, Other
you were
thing,
saying how it is translated into surgery and therapeutics.
therapeutics, basically, so right now, see, suppose, okay, fine, I'll put it, suppose ICG you're using. Initially, we are not able to quantify the ICG. Now we are able to quantify the ICG so that we know what is the percentage of perfusion,
Right.
so that we
Yes.
understand the leak rates could be less. So
Yes.
you're integrating AI into the thing. So you're getting AI to make on-table diagnosis of some pathology. And the same thing, actually, a step forward of this actually is that this intelligent staplers that we have right now, which are sensing the pressure and all, actually,
Mhm.
I talked to one of the companies which are going to integrate this on-site pathology with these staplers. And I'm sure, I think in the next meeting, I should be able to say the moment you put the staple, it will show whether the staple line is positive or negative for the disease. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic.
so the suicide
That
positivity
would
could,
be really, you
yes.
know,
So they're
amazing.
working on this, Sadiq, actually. So I mooted this idea. I asked them to see if we can combine both the things, actually. And they said it's not a big deal to combine both these things, actually. So they're working on it, and hopefully I should be able to get some thing
So,
with.
what other applications in surgery, like in the operating theater, apart from, as you mentioned, importantly, these things, is there any other thing which is now available to surgeons,
Yeah,
which,
actually, robotics is a big thing that has come into our clinical practice, and there's a lot of AI that is getting incorporated into this thing, actually, be it with the ICG component or different phases of this thing, actually. It all, as in today, some of it could be experimental, Sadiq, but lot of this thing because You just have to upgrade your robotic systems to make sure that a lot of these things AI come into the thing. The best thing that I saw recently in one of the meetings that I attended for the AI was uh, the basic steps of be it be laparoscopy or robotics are being recognized by AI. Like basically, you have the steps of somebody shows the lesion and then you identify the lesion, then you move and then you do the procedure. That's what happens in laparoscopy or endoscopy or robotics. Now,
Yeah.
each of spaces actually AI has got the thing. So it is able to show automatically, it is able to detect automatically, it is able to move automatically.
To the area of interest.
Area of interest. So without you even you telling the system that it has to be moved into the thing. And the first work that I saw that got published was this paper, which they did this procedure on for a small bowel resection anastomosis and a porcine model, where the procedure was done on a system and the system was let go to do the procedure.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the
So
automated.
automated right now. So that is one thing that really, I mean, shocking to know that it can be done, but I think it's going to happen. Uh,
Right.
I mean, it's some sort of an extension of the navigation system that we practice as in today, where we integrate everything together. Now, this is something beyond navigation, and then you see that you're operating. I mean, the idea is actually the pros of it is that any of the accidental stuff that can happen during your routine procedure can be avoided. You can always go back, redo the entire procedure on the system and let the system do it.
Right. Right.
But this is something mind-boggling, actually. I mean, I'm sure, actually, the pace at which it is going, Sadiq, actually, uh, I'm really amazed, actually. I'm sure it will come into practice very soon.
So I've read a lot of articles and literature on some two common procedures.
Yeah.
One is your gallbladder surgery
Yeah.
and the you know uh, fearsome complication of a bile duct
Yes.
injury and how to avoid
Yes.
that, and the use of AI in trying to help the surgeon navigate through the right parts and
Yes.
warning them that they are going into the wrong areas. So
Absolutely.
please
Absolutely.
tell a bit about that and how it can be used and is it available for use?
So right now, Sadiq, actually, what we have systems. Actually, like I said, actually, the system is able to identify structures. So right now, the structures are identified if it's enhanced right now. Suppose as and now today we do some give some ICG and make sure that we identify this. But in the days to come, as the system gets more and more used to the thing in different clinical scenarios, I'm sure this will warn us. Like I told you about this story about identifying these vessels during doing poem procedure.
Yes,
We are working actually. Our department right now is working on laparoscopic cholecystectomy. They got about 500 recordings of those things right now.
yes,
So to show that whether they can identify the vessels before the surgery goes on and whether they can highlight these structures on the thing. And
yes,
they are able to highlight the vessels as in today, but the cystic duct and the bile duct, they're still working on it actually. But I'm sure with these things happening, actually, suppose if the system warns us that this is the bile duct, this is the cystic duct, still there could be some apprehensions actually. You
yes,
understand? See,
yes, yes,
artificial intelligence cannot
yes,
differentiate between a cystic duct and a bile
yes.
duct. You understand what
But
I'm saying?
I guess it can identify
The structures, yeah, separately, yeah.
the critical structures,
Critical
the
structure.
landmarks, and maybe warn the surgeon that this is
Yes,
not where you have to go. Of
yes,
course, the surgeon still has the liberty to be aware,
yes,
and then
absolutely.
in a particular case has to go. Uh, Secondly, like ensuring that what we call as critical view of safety is clearly established, so that
Absolutely.
can also be there.
But it will be something like an image overlay of that actually.
Yes.
So we'll
So you
be
will
able
have
to
to
see the,
have that and
yeah.
uh,
So we'll be able to see the structures. So hopefully, I think with these technologies coming in, I think maybe we can avoid some of the complications that we have seen during our period. Maybe they can overcome. So though it could be expensive for the time being, but as every technology that happens, actually, as more and more companies come in, I think it could become cheaper.
So, uh, when I was growing up and we didn't have telephones so easily
Yeah,
options to get. And then when we had telephone connection, I used to wonder whether we would be able to see the person anytime on the other side and see what the person is doing while he or she is talking to you.
yeah.
And that is the reality in your lifetime. You do video calls regularly. So
Yeah, so same thing, Sadiq. Actually, if you see, just less than 1 year, ChatGPT came. It started writing essays and texts. Actually,
yes,
ChatGPT 4 came in, and it started writing exams better than human beings.
yes, cleared the
Mid-journey,
USMLE.
yeah,
Yes,
USMLE. Mid-journey came in. It started changing text to pictures, and now Sora has come, which is changing text to videos.
right.
Understand? You just actually tomorrow. Actually, I was just experimenting that Sora today morning. Actually,
Hmm.
and you tell that actually, can you generate laparoscopic cholecystectomy video? My God, phenomenal! Actually, you understand? It's able
Really?
to generate a video of laparoscopic cholecystectomy.
So my imagination is that at some point of time we let in small bots into the abdominal cavity through a small incision,
Yeah,
small soldiers who will go tie the cystic duct, do all that, carry the gallbladder and bring it out, and you will just watch on the screen these guys doing the act.
I
What do you
made a cartoon about it a decade back. Actually, I hope it becomes a reality. Actually,
say?
I showed an animation of this almost a decade back. Actually.
Huh. So it could be a reality.
Yeah, it could be a reality, Sadiq. Yes, actually, it could be a reality. I
I
think,
want to ask you, GV, the downside. Is
yeah,
there any downside of this rapidly developing AI technology and our sort of reliance on that to consider it as the absolute truth and nothing but the truth?
you're very right, Sadiq. Actually, see, one is that price of this thing, who is going to take? Two is the legal issues that are going to come up. But I asked my legal colleague of mine who says actually they are started integrating AI into the legal issues also. The third thing that is going to come is actually suppose somebody hacks your system. You understand? Actually, this entire thing is going to see nowadays it's become so. This thing actually, suppose somebody hacks you into the thing and it becomes the biggest shocking thing that I've heard actually from one of the Google employees. Actually, you must have seen this on the social media, Sadiq. Actually, he says actually, though we are saying that we are still the people who can control artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
he says at some stage the algorithm language is so complex, it is functioning like our neural network
Yes.
and it can take
Take over.
independent decisions on its own. You
So,
understand? This is the statement that he makes. Actually, he says it is so complex that at one stage it can start taking decisions which could be similar to the neural network in the human beings.
so Da Vinci's book Origin is,
Yes.
I think, almost about that, that the artificial intelligence or bot takes over all the decision making. Uh,
Yeah. Actually, maybe I don't know because till that time, but till that time, whether we like it or not, actually, it's getting into our practice. I mean, see, we stopped forgetting about our vocabulary. We started forgetting our spellings for language right now.
grammar, spellings,
Spelling, everything is gone. Actually, I mean, totally dependent on the systems right now. So, the by IT people tell us that 84% of the people population is involved in AI, using AI consciously, subconsciously,
and
and
losing their natural intelligence.
it could be a threat, but I'm not very sure how it is going to be. But again, this Elon Musk's work on this natural intelligence, I don't know how much big impact is going to have. Actually, I mean, he's trying to put chips into the brain and all. Actually, so we don't know, but AI is definitely going to make a big dent. We have to go in par with what is happening in the society. We cannot change it actually. But I think a lot of caution has to be exercised when you're taking this into clinical practice actually.
Yes.
People are aware of the thing actually. People are aware of the thing. Actually, you must have read about this article actually, whom about this lady who had this child with a problem, spina bifida problem, with went to about multiple clinics actually without a solution. Finally, she fed everything with chat GPT, and she got the answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So see, I say the people are also, going around this. So we also have to be aware of the thing actually. The biggest thing that is going to happen is actually now I feel that see, to update ourselves about what is happening in practice. Initially, we had to browse through so many things actually. To okay, simple thing actually. You have to make a presentation. Now you have to read about so many articles actually.
Yes.
Maybe that the whole thing gets concise now. I think we get at least some concise material that we get, which we can
Summarize material.
analyze. Yeah, I mean that's how I think we have to use it, and we have to use AI. Ethically into clinical practice. So to maybe to get down prices, to get down complications, to predict some future. Like actually, I'll tell you simple. I mean, our own people worked on this concept of it's code blues actually. We were having almost about 24 code blues every month.
Mm-hmm.
So now they incorporated all this scoring into the thing, actually AI, and it is warning that these are the people who could land in code blue. You understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
last month, yeah, 3 months back, we've been testing. This month, the code blues have come down to eight,
Because it is preempted and you
preempted, and then we
recognize
are
this
able
will
to see this thing alerted, and then you take care of this thing. You understand, actually?
yeah.
So in a way, it's very good actually, but we have to see the downside of it also. How see hackers and all these people who can do anything to us actually. You understand? We know what is happening in our current day also,
Yes.
but we
So
cannot completely depend on these things.
I want to ask two last things to you. It's been a wonderful conversation till now and very illuminating also. The first one is, what is your weirdest AI application which you're looking forward to get? Man, if this comes, it'll be great. What is that? What is GV Rao's weirdest? My imagination, you had done it 10 years back. So what's your weirdest imagination or something which you would want that, oh God, I should get this AI to get this done?
I'm a big science fiction buff, Sadiq, actually.
I know that.
I follow all this. I've read up almost all the science fiction books, and then I make it a point. I see the science fiction movies umpteen number of times from a critical perspective. Uh, and the fascination that struck me was one of those movies which shows that actually the patient is put on the table, it makes the diagnosis, treats the child, and the child walks out of the table without any problem. You understand? Beautiful concept actually,
Yes.
diagnosed as acute lymphatic leukemia, treated, and the patient walks out. I'm, I think the pace at which is working, I hope something like that happens actually.
You can, you may have a uh,
Yeah, I'm fascinated
medicine
with
booth
this.
kind of thing that you go in and
Yeah,
come out cured
cute.
after the diagnosis.
I have this fascination for working for some gene. I'm working with my basic scientist right now for some gene editing processor. Actually, I'm taking a course on that actually to
Uh,
see how it can be done. Actually,
I must correct myself. 36 hours in 24 hours.
no,
You're trying to
actually, it's
make
just
it
that we want to work something differently actually, and we have some time actually. So I'm working on that gene editing stuff. Actually, we have that equipment with us, so I'm just working, putting my hand into that to see where it can be done. AI is one, and this basic gene editing stuff is one. Two things that I'm currently in, which I'm. I think
fantastic.
my juniors tell me that. See, okay, fine. All said and done, actually, I'm not going beyond. I mean, in within my hospital, people feel that actually whatever we introduced into the hospital, it is making a big impact on the day-to-day practice.
Right.
From patient counseling to whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Be
Yes.
the news, whatever we did, actually, it is making some good impact on the
Right.
patient outcome.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
so
that's the
excited
great thing.
about it actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So finally, as you say that artificial intelligence in our profession is inevitable and we have to use it wisely. So for the younger people who may be listening to this podcast, how should they prepare themselves for this era of artificial intelligence in medicine and surgery? What they should do to be equipped to deal with it and make the best use of it?
Yeah, as I mean, as in today, like our seniors also kept on telling us, Sadiq, actually, when we were taught about surgery, open surgery is a must. We should know the basics of surgery, then only we translate this into laparoscopy or robotic surgery. I think irrespective of whatever technology that comes into clinical practice, it is only going to augment our initial part of our basic surgical procedures.
It would empower you.
Yeah,
It
it will empower you. The younger generation has exposure to this thing actually, like we have. They are going to be exposed to this. I think they have to have a lot of caution before they take into clinical practice. I think it is also a big responsibility of the societies, actually, the surgical societies, to make sure that we dampen the enthusiasm wherever it is required and infuse enthusiasm wherever it is required to make sure that it is ethically taken to the public. That's my perception of the entire
yeah.
thing. A lot of things is can be done, is not should be done. So I think we have to ethically take this into clinical practice.
And do you think now this has to come into the curriculum, teaching of the basics of AI, the various languages, and how it works, so that they are better equipped to deal with it and understand what the value of that uh, proposition which comes to you?
Actually, I was told recently that the medical council is contemplating to include AI as part and parcel of the subject during medical school. Actually, Uh,
Hmm.
so actually, you're right from the basic anatomy, they started. I mean, the next year they told me that actually, in fact, one of my friends actually, he does some lectures for anatomy and all actually. Then they told me that they started incorporating AI into this thing actually. So I'm sure actually the curriculum will include in various parts of the thing. We should understand the basic, though we cannot learn the entire
Yes.
AI component.
Yeah.
You understand?
Area. Of
We
course.
cannot say, at least we should be able to know which clinical application, what are the limitations on our side in the current day, and how we can overcome. And I
Yes.
think we should help the society in finding some solutions, actually. Yes, I think I'm.
Yes. So great, GV. Thanks for taking this time out. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed talking about this futuristic thing, which is so close to your heart. And of course, it just shows that there are continuing exciting times in front of us. And I wish in our lifetime we see many more innovations which make clinical practice better, error free, and beneficial to the patient. Thank
Yeah,
you very much for being part of
thank you,
this.
Sadiq. Actually, thank you. Wonderful. I'm just hoping that this Alzheimer's thing does not come into our this thing during our time, and we hope some sort of AI comes into this thing to take away this Alzheimer's part, so that we can die peacefully. Actually, without having to go through not to recognize people, not to forget people. So I hope actually something of this comes up in AI, so that we keep in touch with friends, both in India and abroad, actually everywhere, actually friends we have made through our lifetime, whom we don't want to forget, actually, who have helped us immensely to go through our entire career,
Yeah.
and also our families who have helped us actually during this entire career.
Thank you very much
Thank you
and
so
good
much.
night.
Thank you so much. Good night.